Vice Chair Heinrich. I will now turn back to Chairman Mullen for the manager's package.
Madam Chair, I'd like to offer a manager's package containing amendments for the legislative branch bill. This package had been negotiated and agreed to by both sides, and I ask that it be adopted by unanimous consent.
Is there any objection? If not, the manager's package is adopted. Senator Murray.
Thank you. As everyone here knows, better than anyone, the Library of Congress, the Government Accountability Office, and the Government Publishing Office play really critical roles in helping us do exactly the sort of work we are here today to do. They help us in drafting legislation, getting expert opinion and research to inform the process, and even printing the bills and reports before us. They are no doubt legislative branch agencies, but right now the appointing process for the heads of these agencies involves the executive branch. That does not make a lot of sense, no matter who the president is, and I do believe it's time we modernize these processes and make sure that agency heads are appointed by the legislative branch. This is actually a step we took a few years back to ensure the selection process for the architect of the Capitol and make sure it's in Congress's hands, and it makes all the sense in the world to now update these statutes for these legislative branch agencies as well. Now, I do understand that Senate leadership and the authorizing committees of jurisdiction are trying to address this matter. I feel strongly, as appropriators, we should not be silent on this important separation of powers issue. But Madam Chair, I know you share the importance of the separation of powers and the impact on these three agencies. So at this time, I will not offer my amendment, but want a commitment that we will continue to work to get this done.
Absolutely. Important issue. Are there, Senator Brett?
Just want to make sure that the chair and ranking member have the funds they need to fix the train from Hart
Yes.
to the.
We were
I second
just
that.
discussing that as
And
we
the
were
elevators?
stuck on the
Elevators,
train.
by the way.
As Martin and I were stuck on the train, we figured out there has to be a way for us to work forward on this, and we will. Not that I don't like spending time with him, just not stuck in a train.
Thank you, then I'll withdraw my amendment.
An excellent one it was. Are there any other members who seek to offer an amendment or speak on this bill? If not, seeing no further amendments, the bill will be reported as amended.
Madam Chair, can I say one thing too? If anybody has concerns on our security, what we're trying to do, please feel free to reach out to me. I just didn't want to say it in a public setting because I believe it is sensitive. So I'll be happy to visit with you on a one-on-one or a group setting and tell you what program we're running and how we plan on moving forward with it.
Welcome back to America First, Patriots. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into something that should concern every American who believes in constitutional government and the separation of powers. If you're new here, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because we're bringing you the truth about what's happening in Washington that the mainstream media won't tell you. Today, I'm reacting to footage from a recent congressional committee meeting where Senator Murray from Washington State is discussing something that actually makes sense for once. She's talking about fixing a fundamental problem with how we appoint the heads of critical legislative branch agencies. And folks, this is bigger than most people realize. Let me break this down for you. Right now, the heads of three crucial agencies that serve Congress, the Library of Congress, the Government Accountability Office, and the Government Publishing Office, are appointed by the executive branch. Think about that for a second. These agencies are supposed to serve Congress, help them draft legislation, provide research, and handle printing of bills. But their bosses are picked by the president. This is a perfect example of how the swamp operates. The Founding Fathers designed our government with three separate branches for a reason. They understood that when power gets concentrated, when branches start bleeding into each other, that's when tyranny creeps in. And that's exactly what we've been seeing for decades as the executive branch has grown more and more powerful at the expense of Congress. Now, I'll give credit where credit is due. Senator Murray is actually right on this one, even though I disagree with her on just about everything else. She's pointing out that it makes no sense for the president to appoint the heads of agencies that are supposed to serve Congress. It's like letting your opponent pick your team captain. The Library of Congress isn't just some dusty old building full of books. It's the research arm of Congress. When our representatives need expert analysis on policy, when they need historical context for legislation, when they need to understand the implications of what they're voting on, they turn to the Library of Congress. The Government Accountability Office is supposed to be Congress's watchdog, investigating waste, fraud, and abuse in government spending. And the Government Publishing Office handles all the official documentation that keeps our democratic process transparent. These agencies are absolutely critical to Congress being able to do its job effectively. And when their leadership answers to the president instead of Congress, you create a conflict of interest that undermines the entire system. Murray mentioned that they already fixed this problem with the architect of the Capitol a few years back. That position used to be appointed by the president too, but Congress wisely took control of that process. Now they need to do the same thing with these other agencies. Here's what really gets me fired up about this. For too long, we've watched as Congress has abdicated its responsibilities and handed power over to the executive branch. Whether it's Democrats or Republicans in the White House, the presidency has become way too powerful. Congress is supposed to be the most powerful branch of government. They control the purse strings, they make the laws, and they're the ones closest to the people. But instead of fighting for their constitutional prerogatives, too many members of Congress have been happy to let the president take the heat for tough decisions while they focus on getting reelected. This needs to stop. The separation of powers isn't just some abstract constitutional principle. It's the foundation of our liberty. When one branch gets too powerful, when the lines between branches get blurred, that's when we lose our freedoms. That's when government stops serving the people and starts serving itself. What Murray is proposing here is actually a step toward restoring constitutional government. It's about Congress taking back control of its own operations and making sure that the agencies that serve the legislative branch actually answer to the legislative branch. Now, I noticed that Murray didn't actually offer her amendment during this meeting. She said she wanted to work with Senate leadership and the authorizing committees to get this done. That's fine, but here's my concern. How many times have we heard politicians say they're going to work behind the scenes to get something done, only to have it disappear into the swamp never to be seen again? This is exactly the kind of issue that should have bipartisan support. It's not about partisan politics. It's about the fundamental structure of our government. Republicans and Democrats should both want Congress to be strong and independent. They should both want these agencies to serve Congress effectively, not be beholden to whatever administration is in power. The fact that this is even an issue shows how far we've drifted from the founders' vision. They would be horrified to see how much power has been concentrated in the executive branch. They designed Congress to be the dominant branch, the one that most directly represents the will of the people. Every patriot should be supporting efforts to restore the proper balance of power between the branches. We need a strong Congress that actually exercises its constitutional duties instead of rubber stamping whatever the president wants or hiding behind executive agencies when tough decisions need to be made. This is why elections matter at every level. It's not just about who's in the White House. The people we send to Congress need to understand their constitutional role and be willing to fight for it. They need to stop being career politicians worried about their next election and start being statesmen worried about preserving our constitutional republic. So, while I rarely agree with Senator Murray on anything, I'm going to give her credit here. This is good government reform that every American should support. It's about making sure our government works the way it was designed to work, with clear lines of authority and accountability. The question is whether Congress will actually follow through on this, or whether it'll get buried in committee somewhere while they move on to the next political fight. We need to hold our representatives accountable and make sure they understand that we're paying attention to these kinds of structural issues, not just the flashy headlines. Patriots, this is exactly the kind of issue we need to stay engaged on. It's not sexy. It doesn't make for good sound bites, but it's fundamental to preserving our constitutional system. The swamp counts on us not paying attention to these procedural matters while they quietly accumulate more power. That's why channels like America First exist. We're here to cut through the noise and focus on what really matters for our republic. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and keep fighting for constitutional government. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay informed, and remember that America comes first.